Hi, how are you? I'm Roberta Colasino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator coming to you from Pompano Beach, Florida. But normally I'm from the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. I've made some rearrangements with my technical stuff, and so naturally things aren't going well. I should learn to just kind of leave well enough alone. No doubt about it. But anyway, I'm going to turn the camera down in just a minute. I'm just checking. I've got my laptop over here on my left, which is not usually what I'm doing, but I'm doing it because I have some things I want to show you on my iPad tonight. Okay, so there I am. This is good. All right. Color seems to be a little bit weird, but sometimes, yeah, that's better. Sometimes I just have to tip the computer. I was looking kind of green there, and I really don't want to look green if I can help it. All right, let's see. I've got a couple of things I'm going to need here, but I do have to clear the decks. So I'm kind of on a mission for the next couple of weeks to show you some retiring product. I have already showed you some new product, and I will place an order soon, but because I'm not here in Florida too much longer, I'm a little bit nervous to place an order and not be sure where it's going to end up. So I probably will place an order purposely so that it will arrive home at about the same time that I do. If not, I'll have a neighbor pick it up or something. But I'm just nervous to have it come here when no one's here, because stuff that comes here after you've changed your address and before they think you've gone back to your new address sometimes just goes into the land of no return in the post office, and I hate to see that happen. All right, so give me just a second, and we will flip the camera down. Okay, is that right? No, we're looking at the ceiling. Lovely popcorn ceilings. If you know anything about popcorn ceilings, they're a very 70s thing. They actually don't bother me enough to pay what it would probably cost to have them scraped off. I'm just dealing with it. But most people here in Florida hate them because they're everywhere. All right, my camera's tilted at a rather odd angle. Let's see if I can fix that a little bit and straighten things out a little bit. Okay, that might be as good as it gets. And there's actually, oh, look at that. There's a glare because now sunset is later. So now it's actually still light out while I'm doing my video, which is unusual. Well, except in the summertime, but it's not quite summertime yet, is it? But it's getting there. It is getting there. Okay, so sorry for the delay. So these are the two bundles that we're going to be working with today. All right, so I've got the information there for you in case you want to take a screenshot of that so that you have it for later reference. And I've got interesting news about host codes and things like that to go over with you tonight as well. So I'm going to try not to take up too much time with that. All right, so we'll get to introducing these a little bit more closely in a minute or two. So this is my host code for the month of April. And the way this is going to work, at least so far, this is what I believe is true, is that host codes are going away as of April 15th. Whether they're good through the entire day, like up until midnight April 15th, I don't know. And don't forget that every date that I give you or every time that I give you is in Mountain Time, which is what Utah is in. So midnight Mountain Time, I think they're 2 hours behind us. So yeah, so just keep that in mind. And if I find out an actual time, I will post it in Eastern Time. Right, so after that date, there will be no more host codes. And I know a lot of you still are kind of confused about host codes and how they work, but basically the host code allows you as the purchaser, as the customer, to put my host code in when you place an order. If your order is over $150, then you get rewards, all right? And those rewards are instant. So basically, let's say you spend $155 somewhere up in the top of the screen when you go to check out, it will say to you, you have $15, because it's 10%, I believe, you have $15 in rewards, and it will prompt you to add a couple of more things to your cart. And so you're getting $15 worth of product for free as a bonus for spending the $155, let's say, okay? The new program will also reward you with rewards, but it's going to be kind of like Kohl's rewards. If you've ever shopped in Kohl's, maybe you'll understand this. So you get Kohl's cash when you leave the store, but you have to come back and buy other things to get to use the Kohl's cash. Now, the difference between the Stampin' Up! Rewards, the way I understand it, and the Kohl's rewards is that Kohl's rewards expire. I personally know that I never, ever make it back to the store in time to use that Kohl's cash, never. So they're saving money on me, and I'm sure there are many other people just like me. With this, you will get to keep that money for an extended period of time. I don't know that I've heard yet whether it's forever or whether it's for a year or something like that, but it won't be like you've got 5 weeks to spend it, okay? You've got time to spend it. So that's what's going to be different. So the host codes will be going away. There's a lot more that's involved with that. So for some of my customers who I have placed orders for in the past, I don't think I'll be able to place orders for you, but there have been so many concerns about that they are working on that, because there are a lot of people out there, believe it or not, who still don't use the internet or don't use the internet for shopping or aren't particularly good at using the internet, and they'd rather not use the internet. So for those people, and I guess there are a lot of them out there who are Stampin' Up! Customers, Stampin' Up! Is trying to see what they can do to rectify that problem, because some of our demonstrators are pretty upset that they think they may lose customers over this. And we don't want that to happen, right? Okay, so here is my April monthly daily prompts calendar, and like I've said before, there are no rules involving this. You do not have to go day by day. You can do any of these things on any day. They're just suggestions. They're things to kind of get your creative juices flowing. The only thing on here that is a hard and fast date is that I come to you every Wednesday at 7 p.m. live. I didn't stick that up there today. Today's National Walking Day, so I said let's get out there and take a walk. And do you know who did not take a walk today? Me. I barely moved today. And then, of course, my coffee and a card locally in New York on the second Tuesday of every month. Other than that, the spots that are in pink are spots where you can earn a prize if you follow that prompt. You don't have to do it on the day that I put it. You have until the 30th of the month to do that, but you can only win one prize. So pick one that you think you'd really like to do that one, post a picture here in this group, Roberta's 11 Lakes Stampers Creative, and you can win a prize. All right, and several people have, so it's real. All right, this other stuff I think I'm going to hold off on because it's pages and pages of information about the new rewards program, and I'm sure that I can put that into a better format so that it's a little more user-friendly. Okay. I did want to bring to your attention one more time today, maybe again next week, we'll see, that the in colors for 23, 24, 25 are retiring, and that is the Moody Mauve, the Wild Wheat, the Pebble Path, Copper Clay, and Boho Blue. I've actually come to like all of them. Boho Blue is probably a favorite. I really started to like Wild Wheat though, and Pebble Path is a great color for stone and things like that. Copper Clay I like because it's good for clay pots and such, and we do have some sets that use clay pots. And then the Moody Mauve, I do like, but at one point I had an all mauve family room, and I'm kind of over mauve. I guess that's how I would put it. I'm kind of over mauve. All right, so these are the two stamp sets that we're focusing on tonight, and we're actually going to be using them together quite a bit. All right, so these are bundles, and I've got the bundle price here and the bundle pack, item number, as well as the item number should you choose to buy just the dies or just the stamp set. And I think some of you might just do that in a certain case, and this is true here too. So the Keeping Tabs was a punch bundle, or at least I bought the punch bundle, but there was also an option to get a die. So if you prefer dies, you could get those. Both of these sets are on the last chance list, and as of about noon today, they were still available. This is the punch, and it's very cool and has lots and lots of uses besides what we're going to look at tonight. Okay, and then what did I do? What did I do? Hang on. Okay, I've got some things buried here, that's all. I did not put stuff in a really good order for using them. I buried things on the bottom. So you can get this in a die, so those go together. This is called Keeping Tabs. And this is the Pocket Thoughts Bundle. So while you might think that the Pocket Thoughts Bundle would come with a die that would cut out the cupcake and the ring and the diploma and so on, they actually do not. So you would have to fussy cut those things if you wanted to use them that way. But rather it comes with 3 dies. I know they're rather funky looking, but what they do is they cut out pockets, which is kind of cool. And until I actually used the die cuts, I myself didn't even realize the size of the pockets. Whoa. So this is the largest of the dies, okay, and that die measures, not including the flaps, okay, because when you cut it, it has the flaps that you use to create the pocket. So just looking at the pocket itself, it is 3 3/4, yes, by 4, and it's really almost 5. I'm going to say 5. And then the piece of paper that fits into it will be just a bit shy of that. So it's going to be 3 5/8 by 4 5/8. And that will fit perfectly into this pocket. And I'm going to label these and I'll take a picture of them so that you can see that, or maybe I'll scan them if I can get my scanner to work. This is the pocket that you would most often use for gift cards. It's the perfect gift card size. And this one is 2 5/8 by 3 3/8. All right, and the card that would fit in it is actually, like I said, gift card size, so 2 1/8 by 3 3/8. Don't you just love those eighths measurements? They make me crazy. All right, and then the tiniest one, and I really kind of thought, gee, I don't know what you would use that for. Oh, this is just a leftover piece of paper. Wrong one. The tiniest one, maybe it's not. Well, I don't think I did it right, whatever, but we'll trim that up. The tiniest one is 1 1/2 by 2. And the piece of paper that would fit in it would definitely be smaller than that. So this one's a little bit too small. It would probably be 1 I would say 3/8 by 2. 1 3/8 by 2. Okay? So, like I said, I'll double check those measurements, and put them out where you can see them on the group. So there we go. So the first card that we're going to make today, let me see. This card actually is using both sets. So we'll be using Keeping Tabs and we'll be using Pocket Thoughts. All right. And I'm always looking for places to put things down here. It's like, okay. So I chose Berry Burst for my base color. And we did a fun fold last week, you might recall. We did a gatefold card, but it was kind of an off-balance gatefold card. There must be a name for it, but I'm just going to call it an off-balance or offset because the sides weren't even. So to make a regular, typical gatefold card, what you do is you take your paper that is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and you score it at 2 1/8, and for me it's easier to just flip it over and score it at 2 1/8 on the other side. A lot of people also feel they get a better matching up of the edges if they score it on one side and then fold over the other side and burnish it, and you can certainly do that as well. All right, and then I used some of the Bokeh, whatever that DSP is called, the something or other Bokeh, Beautiful Bokeh, maybe it is, designer series paper to make the envelope with, or the pocket rather. I guess I should call it a pocket. And so all you really have to do to get this pocket put together is you're going to glue it onto whatever you decide to glue it onto, all right? So in this case, I'm going to put a typical liner that is 4 by 5 1/4 on the inside. All right, let's see. So we're going to get that on there. everyone had a good weekend and that you're having a good week so far. I flew home this weekend to New York, which is a little unusual for me. I don't normally do the fast trip and the jet setting thing. As most of you know, I drove to Florida, but I flew home this weekend because my Aunt Mary was celebrating her 96th birthday, and that just doesn't come around all the time. So that was well worth a little expense and a fair amount of trouble, only because the airlines were not cooperating and things were canceled and delayed, and then there were terrible thunderstorms and they diverted planes from Fort Lauderdale and Miami and West Palm Beach, and then they deplaned us and then they replaned us, and by the time it was all over I was dizzy. And then the pilot warned us that it was going to be a bumpy ride when we finally got back on the plane. That did not make me happy because I typically don't do very well with bumpy rides, but I actually did okay. So that was good, and it was a good time, a very good time. Spent with family and some friends of hers who I haven't seen in a long, long time. So that was fun. Okay, so that's all you do is put the glue on the flaps there, and then just decide where you're going to put it. You can put it in the center, you can off-center it, you can do whatever you want, and then just press it down and it will stay. Now I was thinking about, what if you wanted to put something in one of these pockets besides a gift card, or what if you wanted to put in multiple gift cards? You could do a kind of a waterfall thing, possibly. The other thing I thought about was that you could use our, what are they called? They're, like dimensionals, but they're strips, sticky strips or whatever we call them. I can't remember at the moment. And raise it up a little bit so that you could put more in it, and it would give it more, a little bit more volume. So there you go. That fits in there just fine, but it's a little awkward to get out. So here's what we're going to do. Because it's a little awkward to get out, we're going to take one of the tabs. Now in the set there are 3 different stamps that stamp these tabs. This one's kind of, foliage and pretty and maybe a little bit more feminine. I rounded the edges of this piece and I already measured it to make sure that it was pretty much the same size as the card. It might be a tiny bit bigger, and that's okay. I made a mistake on one side. So this one says thank you. So we're just going to say that I'm sending this as a thank you card to someone, and I'm sending them a Starbucks gift card because they did a favor for me, and I know how much they like Starbucks, okay? And of course, if you're doing this, then you do whatever it is you want to do for the person that you might be giving this to. There's also happy birthday, there's hello, there's just something that says for you, so it could be for any occasion. Certainly think of this for Christmas. All right, so now I've got that on there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glue dot, and I'm going to put a glue dot right here in the middle. Now these glue dots are stronger than they look. I know they're little, but they really are strong. Yes, because I just touched it when I didn't want to, and it's already stuck. So there you go. I've proved my point. It's strong. All right, now I probably should have lifted this up a little bit higher, and I'm guessing it may be too late because oh no, okay, I can still do it. That's what I like about the wet glue, folks, is the wiggle room that you get. That's what I like. Okay, that might be a little bit better. And then we'll stick this on there. It's a $10 Starbucks card. It's actually mine, and haven't quite used it yet. Okay, good grief. I just want to be able to see the thank you and have the tab. So now this still fits in there, but because it's stuck onto the little thing below, and I definitely needed to put this so it would go in further, but you get the idea, okay? There we go. Need a little bit more weight. And now you have something to grab onto to remove it. All right? So I think what I would do is just make my little card that I'm attaching it to just a little bit shorter. Although it's not, you can still see it. It doesn't matter that it shows too much. At least I don't think it does, okay? So there's a thank you. And you have the ability to stamp things here. So if you just wanted to show, let's say, the pretty side of the tab and not have any sentiment on it, then you could just have that in there, and then you could stamp happy birthday over here or thank you over here. So how you use it is certainly entirely up to you. I've had all kinds of ideas running through my mind. So this is kind of plain, so what we're going to do is we're going to take some of that bokeh paper, and so each of these flaps, like I said, is 1 1/8, and so this paper that I cut down to use on this is going to be it's 2 1/8, and this is going to be 1 7/8 by 1 7/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, not a big fan of all those eighths, but sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. So we're going to put them on here. And as I told you last week when I did the gatefold card, you can certainly, if you want to, make a belly band for this card so that it holds it together and it's flat. And maybe oops, I almost hit the camera with my head. That would have been bad. Okay. And I think this time I'm just going to try this a little bit differently. And just be careful not to go into the area where I know I'm not going to want this. Okay. So there we go. Now, the other thing is kind of cool, and I have some more of these, but I'm a little bit hesitant to use them because I'm making a card next, or at least at some point, that uses lots and lots of those things. So maybe what I'll do is just get out the stamp again, and get out the berry burst, and then you can kind of see how this works. So I'll go ahead and I'll ink this up, and then I'll stamp it down. Oh, it's splattered. So sometimes that does happen with these stamps. They have kind of a, with the photopolymer, it has kind of a suction-y effect. So if you stamp it down and then you lift it up quickly, sometimes the ink splatters a little bit. It's kind of strange. Okay, so I'm just making another one of those. And then I'm going to wipe this off. So I have mentioned before that the reddish colors will stain the photopolymer stamps. It doesn't matter, it doesn't affect how they work, but if you clean them off right away, as opposed to leaving them until you're all done with your project, it comes off much better. So here's the punch, and the way it works is that we just stick it on, nope, not that way. I've been doing it the wrong way the first time, every time. And you just want to take a minute and line it up so that everything sort of seems even. Then you can press a little bit. You just want to make sure you're seeing those lines there and those little lines there, and that the spaces here are kind of even. And then press fast, one time fast. All right, so the reason I did that was because I thought we could, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this, and I'm just wondering, I think I would probably need 2 of these somehow fixed together. So there's a way that you can take something like this and put sort of like a slider on the back and use that to hold it. I could also just put this on a belly band, and I don't think I have a piece of the right color paper where I can reach it that's long enough, but basically you would just wrap the belly band around. I tend to glue it on the front because then I put something like this on the front to hold it together, and that would hold it closed. All right, so that's just another thought for a way that you could close that card. And if you wanted to, you could certainly put some other types of embellishments on there, but I think that's fine for now. All right, and so the gift card is there. I am going to pull that out because I'm going to use that gift card again. So that is card number 1. Card number 2 is using one of those retiring in colors that I mentioned a little while back, and that is Wild Wheat, which, like I said, I know a lot of people just didn't care for it, but it grew on me. It sort of was a chameleon type of color where it picked up the color of whatever was around it. So sometimes it looked a little green, sometimes it looked a little yellow, sometimes it looked gold, and that's what I liked about it. So I chose to make this a more masculine card, so I'm using the Timeless Plaid, and that was part of the something or other memories stamp set, the one that came out that was kind of Easterish, the one with the bunnies and all the little critters. So I chose to use that DSP for this card. So I've got my basic card base, and then I've got my pocket, and I chose a plaid for the pocket. Okay, actually all I'm going to need, I think, is the card. I'm not going to need this part. If you put something down temporarily with a glue dot like I did, the best way to get it off as opposed to pulling it is to twist it. Because when you twist it, it basically gets real skinny and then it just comes off. If you just try to rip it, that doesn't always work so good because it might rip something you're not looking to rip. So you twist it till it gets real skinny and then it will pull off and you can take it off without any problem. Okay. So I decided to go for I decided to go for a card sketch. Now initially I used that same floral greenery pattern to stamp this one just because that's the one I had been using. But then I wanted you to see that there are two other ones as well. So you've got the striped one and then you've got this polka dot one. And I realized that given that I was using stripes and checks and plaids, that I probably didn't want to use the floral with this. So I decided to kind of put that one aside. And when I say I wanted to use a card layout, I was basically talking about just that thing where you take some pieces. I think these are like maybe 3.5 by 4 or 2 3/4. Sorry, 2 3/4 by 4. Sometimes I make them different sizes. This time I made them the same size. And I'm just using some of that designer series paper, and this is basic beige in the color family paper. And I'm just sort of putting it like this, just creating a little design basically, and then this will go on top. All right, so we're just going to go ahead first and glue this down. I do apologize with this new setup. It's very difficult for me to see any comments, but if you leave a comment, I'll certainly acknowledge it after when I get off the air. It's just something that's just happening that it doesn't show up while I'm doing the video very well. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, only let me see how I can do this so it comes out better. All right, so we're going to glue this right onto here. That's pretty easy to do. There's not all that much fiddling around to get that to stay in place. And you just don't want to put too much glue on it, and you don't want it to ooze into the inside, because if it oozes into the inside, it could stick up whatever you're putting in there. Although if it's a plastic gift card, it probably won't do it any harm. All right, so I'm going to make sure that's at least a little bit even, side to side and to the bottom. And I'm just going to do a pretty good job of pressing it down just because we are putting something in it besides just paper. So let's see what happens when I put that in. Okay. This one is kind of a perfect fit. All right. And I think I'll go with the stripes because we're kind of going with stripes and whatnots, and there aren't any polka dots in there. So I'll go with stripes, and I'm going to want to put this much closer to the top than I did with the last one. I think that'll work out better. Alright, so I'm not going to push it too far down. That is good, and I'm also going to hang on to that for a minute and let it sit because we're going to be pulling on it. Let's see what that looks like now. I feel like maybe I made this just the tiniest bit too wide. We want it to slide in easily, and we want it to slide out easily for whoever we're giving it to. So I'm just going to take the tiniest bit. And I really did mean a tiny bit. It's just a sliver. Because now it's not even, so that's going to bother me. So I'll take the tiniest bit off the other side too, and then it'll be a little bit smaller, but that's okay. That one was even smaller. There we go. And of course now, because this one, oh wait, I can just flip it over. Never mind. Forget I said a word. All right, so same thing here. I'm just going to put one glue dot in the middle of that. Make sure that I line this up so that it will slide in. You're still going to see a tiny bit of the gift card sticking up at the top, and probably I don't want the part that says $10, but I don't know that you're really going to see it. And actually I write that. I don't put $10 on it when I give it to people. I usually write it on the you know, the paper that it comes with, just because it's nice for them to know how much you're giving them. Okay, so there you go. And then I had this cupcake, that's what it's called. I had that cupcake that I feel like I'm not having words tonight. Oh, and my fabric scissors are out in the other room, which is bad because these are like little kid scissors and they're probably not meant to cut fabric. Oh, that wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. Okay. Okay, so just for a little added interest, I'm just going to make one of those little ribbons that I'm always calling the cancer ribbon. That there, and do I have any masking or tape here? Yes, I do. Scotch tape. Now I fussy cut the cupcake out, and then I colored it using the blends. I used a light Daffodil Delight on the bottom and a combination of light and dark pecan pie on the top for like a chocolate swirl ice cream type effect. Chocolate swirl ice cream actually sounds kind of good right about now. And then some dimensionals will probably come in handy. Well, I've got some little ones, that'll work. No, wait, here's some big ones. Alright, so the last card, the next one, is a little bit fiddly, I will admit, but I like the effect. So I think it's worth the fiddliness, if that's a word. It's just a good way to show you what you can do with this. The other thing I thought of, and actually I'll play with it a little bit because I do have a recipe file here, you know, like a file box that holds the, I think it's the 4x6 recipe cards. So I'm going to put that right there. And then, I kind of forgot about this part, we want the happy birthday, and I'm sure that I got it out. Yes, here it is. So maybe there's just like a little too much wild wheat there, and maybe I'll go for black. I don't know. What do you think? Or maybe, oh wait. How about pecan pie? That might be good. Black might be too much of a contrast. Right, now the other thing I was kind of curious about, let's just see for the heck of it. What if I take, I'm telling you, I put things down and they just vanish. It's just amazing to me. They just totally vanish. And I have no clue where they go. Okay, well, what I kind of wanted to do, and I don't know if the opening is the same on all of these or not, I wanted to see if the happy birthday would fit in one of the openings on this, but it really doesn't look like it will. I'm looking at the one that's here. So we're just going to stamp it. right down on a scrap. There we go. And we will just fussy cut that scrap into a little something or other, a banner. So one way to make a banner, if you don't have a banner punch on hand, is just to make a little slit up the middle. Go in as far as you want to go, depending on whether you want it to be kind of a pointy banner or a not so pointy banner. And I'm having trouble seeing what I'm doing here because of the glare, or the shadows, I guess I should say. Okay. And then what I'll do is I will take another couple of dimensionals. And we'll just kind of tuck that a little bit under the cupcake so it comes out and we can see the banner part of it. Okay, and then inside, well, inside something or other, I've got them here. Here we go. Okay, always have some extra card liners nearby. That one looks like it needs to be cut down. This one looks like it might be okay. Okay. Yep, my glue is goppy. Alrighty, my computer tells me that I have a threat, but it's been secured. Good grief. Sounds very, kind of like spies and stuff, right? Okay, so there we go. And then what I could do is I could stamp another cupcake in there. I could stamp something else. What else is in that set anyway? I already put it away, didn't I? What did I do with those? I don't know. I have to stop moving things when I'm... There we go. What else is in there? Well, I don't think I want to put an engagement ring or a... yeah, so probably nothing else. I could have used the happy birthday that came with Pocket Thoughts too, which would have been a bigger happy birthday, but that's okay. So I'd have to come up with something else to put on the inside, maybe. All right, so there we go. That is card number 2. And card number 3, like I said, is the one that's going to be a little bit fiddly. And I chose to use boho blue because that is kind of a favorite that's retiring. I'm not positive about this punch, the bow punch, if it's retiring or not retiring. I'm honestly not sure. I certainly should be sure, but I'll look that up and let you know. But the boho blue is retiring, and the ink, remember the ink and the re-inkers are the first to go, along with the paper really, so if you have any interest in that color, I would run, don't walk to your computer and order it. And you do want to order while there's still a workable host code where you can get some free stuff like right away. Alright, so my card base is boho blue. And as you can see, I stamped and punched out a stack of those, I think 24 or 25 of them. Alright, and then I have one of these 4x5¼ for the liner, and one for the outside. My card is going to go this way. It's going to go landscape mode. And what we're going to do, and this one was a little tricky, I have to admit. I saw this, I did, well, I wrote it down too so I wouldn't forget. to give thank you to Pam Dolan for the inspiration for this card. And at first, I just wasn't sure how she did it. So I wasn't sure whether she kept the other half and just glued over it, but there really didn't seem to be any reason to do that, as far as I could tell. So I think what she did, and I'm hoping I'm right, because I can use these other halves for something. So I think what she did was she cut that off, and what she did was she put them, I'll kind of show you, let me just cut off a couple to show you what she did, and I think this was very cool. You know, sometimes I've told you before, I get inspiration from somebody, but I change it so much that even they wouldn't understand that I use their card for inspiration. But in this case, I pretty much copied it with a few changes, obviously color, and she used more than one color, and I chose to use only one color. So what she did was she went like that, and she was going from edge to edge. So I had thought about maybe changing the size of this to make it slightly smaller so that I wouldn't have to have half of one, because that's what she did. She cut, you know, she cut off the edges, and I wasn't sure that I would like that, but I thought, well, I could still do it, and then I could cut the edge off later. I don't know. Wasn't quite sure. So this is what she did. She glued them like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that. Make sure I'm in frame here. Okay, this is a problem. My computer is now asking me, okay, it was giving me two choices. One said close all, and I'm not sure what that meant, and the other said scan now. So instead I just pressed on the little X, because close all might have meant close down everything I'm doing. I do want to make sure that I'm right up against the edge there. So this is kind of like, but not exactly, like some of those cards that we've made using like the hexagon punches and things like that, where we put them side by side and made a little pattern. And I don't know, given the time, if I will get to finish this whole one or not. We'll see. Just for some reason, this just kind of screamed boho glue at me, like I really knew I wanted to use the boho glue. All right, and then, oh, you know what I think I may have done wrong? Imagine that, I may have messed it up already, yeah. So, they're gonna go under. So we want to lift these up just the tiniest bit so that I can get that under. Okay, take your pick tool time. Alright, what I call the take your pick tool / goof eraser. Okay, so this is the spatula end. You have the pick end and the spatula end. And luckily the glue is not super dry yet, although it's pretty dry, because this glue does dry fast. So I think this means that I should have started at the bottom, right? That's what it means. But we can do it this way too and just not put glue on the bottom. We can either do that later or choose to not do it at all. So we're going to stick that under there and slide it up so that you can no longer see the top of it, or at least not much of it. Okay, there we go. And then we're just going to keep on going with that. And like I said, this part of the tab that I'm cutting off, I think I can certainly use that for something. I might even be able to use it for those recipe cards that I was thinking of, because I have, you know, recipe cards always come with categories, but I don't know about you, I always find other categories that I want to add, and so sometimes I just throw a file card in there and write something on it, but these tabs would really help kind of keep it up so that it was more visible to me, if that makes any sense. Alright, so no glue on the bottom. No glue on the bottom. And we'll just lift that up and slide it in. Make sure it's right next to the one next to it. That looks good. Isn't that pretty? I mean, you can kind of see where it's going already, right? I'm purposely not putting the other one on the edge there because I'm just not sure how I like that. I think I don't want to have to cut it. I can't swear to it, but right now that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, not cutting it. Alright, and I think I pushed this one up a little too far, but I don't think I want to try to pull it out again. So we'll just kind of keep going and see what happens here. So yes, as you can see, it's a little fiddly, and some of you may have already said, yep, I'm not doing that. But it really is pretty. Now, another thought would be, and it would be faster and easier, would be to arrange these in rows separately, like off the card, glue them together, maybe on one of your silicone mats, and then attach the rows to the card. That's a possibility. That could really work. It really could. And it might not feel as fiddly. And again, it might feel just as fiddly, you know. I don't know. I can't say for sure. Now the card that Ms. Dolan made, she alternated colors. I think in rows, if I remember correctly. And I think she used a blue and a green. A bright blue and a bright green, maybe. Okay. Now the other possibility would be to only go so far with this. Like if you've already had enough, you could possibly just say, okay, I've had enough, and then I'm going to put a sentiment here and call it a day. I am cutting a couple of these at a time, and it seems to be all right. So that helps too. I'm not cutting every one, I'm cutting two at a time. And the snips are handling that just fine. And I don't think it's necessary to have the glue on the bottom. It's going to lay flat, and I think it's going to be fine. So I don't think we have to mess with that. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I'm only putting it like maybe a third of the way down, and leaving the rest unglued. This way I can get a fingernail under it, and I can slide the next one under and line them up. And I can see where having different colors would be interesting as well. I can, but I just was all about the balmy blue for some reason. Not balmy blue, boho blue. Boho blue. Balmy blue is nice, and I used to like balmy blue until I saw boho blue. Now I just love boho blue. And balmy blue I could kind of take it or leave it. What can I say? It's still a nice color, don't get me wrong, but I'm hooked on this one. Definitely much easier once I stopped not putting glue on both sides or all the way down. Much easier. And of course the other thing that I didn't necessarily think about is what happens when we get to the bottom. See, I think I'm going to want to trim a little bit of that off too, because I can't get another whole one under there, and I don't want to mess up my spacing, although it's probably already a little messed up. So I think I'm just going to do some trimming and just have a wider border. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, although it may not be evenly wider, which might bother some people, including me, but we'll see. over too, because I'm not doing exactly what she did. I just didn't like the idea of cutting them in half or cutting just a piece off. And yet we did that with the quilty type cards, but somehow that seemed different. I don't know. Two, three, four, five, six. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. I was wondering why it looked so off kilter. I wasn't keeping it even. So we need 2 more. So I've got all of these that I can use for something else, and a couple of extras. They're probably a good thing to have around in a bunch of different colors, although they're pretty easy to make when you need to. So I'm going to take my little trimmer, and I'm just going to cut this and see what happens, because I know it might not be quite even. Oh, now this I can't just cut off, can I, or can I? So I can, but then I'm thinking, do I want to leave a border? That actually looks okay. Or you could fussy cut it and just let it be a wavy type of border. Let's see what it looks like, because it's definitely a different size. It doesn't, all right, it's not bothering me that these edges are different or uneven. And I think it might even bother me less if I fussy cut that. I don't know. We're gonna, I could be wrong. But once I do it, it's done, right? No turning back. And again, those of you who hate fussy cutting are saying, yep, nope, not doing that either. And I understand. So hello Audrey, and welcome. Audrey says she doesn't have the patience for this stuff. I understand. As strange as it sounds, I actually find it relaxing. So, and I see myself making a bunch of these cards because I just really like them. And the punching is really easy, so it's not even as much work as a die, which is why everybody loves the punches. Although I will tell you, when my daughter was still living at home, I've probably told this story before, and I would be downstairs in the family room watching TV and punching. After about 15 minutes, sometimes not even that long, she'd come out of her bedroom and she'd holler down the stairs, "What are you doing down there?" Because it is a kind of an annoying sound if you're doing it for more than just a few minutes, no doubt about it. It doesn't annoy me because I'm the one doing it. It's kind of like when you crack your knuckles, it doesn't bother you, but it bothers other people. Okay, I love it. I really do love it. And I could see alternating colors as well. I could. So now we need to decide what kind of a card is this. And I think I'm going to go back to the, let's see, back to the Pocket Thoughts, even though we're not using the Pocket Thoughts for this. And I'm going to check out the sentiments there. So we've got lots of love, yay for you. This must be like a little indication that they're supposed to pull something out. I don't think I've used that one yet. And happy birthday. So since this is a bigger happy birthday than the one I used before, I think I'm going to go for this one. And there's also nothing that says, I don't think I've used this happy birthday yet either, so we're going to have to do the thing that I do where I ink it up and then smush it and then clean it, because the photopolymer stamps do seem to have some type of a little film on them left over from the manufacturing process. And I find that they just don't stamp as well. So now I want you to see what happened. So I've got ink on the edge of my stamp there, and that's because I chose a block bigger than what I really needed, and you're always supposed to use a block smaller. And then I put the stamp on towards the bottom so it tipped. And so if I was doing that on a card right now, I would not be happy with myself at all. So, and I don't have a smaller block within reach. Oh, yes I do. Okay. All right, so let's get the block cleaned off and the stamp cleaned off so we don't have a mess. And then I'm going to check my fingers too, because I've always got some kind of ink on my fingers. So we're going to put that on this block instead of the one that I just had it on. Because that doesn't happen if you use a smaller block. At least it doesn't usually happen. And another little trick, if you've got this or the grid paper, line your stamp up on a line and then put the stamp block down, and maybe you have a better chance of getting it straight. I say maybe because, you know, you just never know. All right, I've got this scrap here and I'm trying to think. All right, I'm going to use the point-to-point punch, I think. So we're going to do Happy Birthday in boho blue. Okay. And the point-to-point punch, I think that's what it's called, is carrying over. I think it's called that because, you know, point-to-point. I think this piece of paper is just the right size. Okay, so imagine if you did that about 100 times and there was somebody else in the house with you listening to that. You could imagine where they would get just a little miffed after a while, right? For sure. Okay. Now, under other circumstances, like if I were putting that here, I would stamp something else in the background. But because this is so busy, I'm not worried about it, but I am going to put some of these around it, and this is a different color, just for some interest, just to make it a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to put these around, and what I'll do is I'll grab some dimensionals, and I'm going to put them on with the dimensionals, sort of have them holding that in place, and also have them have the dimensionals there to hold it onto the card. Put it like this so I can see what's going on. And I'll put a smaller one there with another dimensional. I don't want to put too many of them on, but maybe I want it coming off a little bit more on the side. And you could also put these down with glue. Some people use glue dots to put things like this down. You could put them down with just Scotch tape and then put the dimensionals on afterwards. But if I can get the dimensionals to do double duty, that's okay too. So I'm just going to take that off gently and move it so it's a little bit more coming off the side, I think. And then maybe I'm going to want another one of these in there and just kind of double that up. Okay, so that should work. I'm just going to put that, again, getting it in the middle the best I can. And so now, of course, you're probably saying, good grief, Roberta, you did all that work getting that thing down there, getting those things down there, and now you're covering half of them up. But it's not really half. I'm covering up maybe about 3 or 4 over there. I realized that I probably need a dimensional under here too. What you can do with that is just peel the backings off of both sides, stick just a tiny corner of the dimensional on the spatula or the pokey end, and just slip that under there and pull it out, and you're good to go. Alright, so that is card number 3. So there we go, and then we'll glue this one down, and I might glue some of these on the inside. And you know what would be nice, and I bet there's a set somewhere, but I bet I don't have it with me, but I could put the cupcake in there. could put the cupcake on the corner in there and just color that in with some boho blue and maybe some of that color as the cupcake paper. That would be kind of nice, wouldn't it? All right, I can do that, and I can glue this in first because I don't think the stuff will soak through both layers, she says, hopefully. I think I'm running out of glue. Don't worry, I probably brought 10 bottles with me, so not to mention the little ones that I refill from. Okay. Just love this color. Okay, so there we go. All right, and what did I want to show you? There was something else I wanted to show you. I know there was. Oh, I know. You know what? I know I said this last week and then I didn't do it, but I will make another video. In fact, I might just come back tonight as soon as I've had my dinner, because I haven't had dinner yet. And I'll just show you a couple of things because the last chance has been updated. There are, as of noon today, 13 pages of last chance items. Some are reduced and some are not, but as you scroll through them, you can see which ones have been reduced. This die and this stamp set, or this punch and the stamp set, are on the last chance list. I do not believe they're reduced, to be honest with you. 10% off. All right, and the pocket thoughts, thoughtful pockets, pocket thoughts. That is also on last chance, and I'm not sure if that one is reduced or not, to be honest with you. Not positive. Alright, so here's the gatefold, and I think what I'll do is I will make a belly band for this off camera so that when I post the pictures it has the belly band, because it definitely needs something here. It's got to have a little something else. And then here we've got the thank you in there with the gift card. Here we've got the gift card on the outside instead of on the inside, which I thought was kind of interesting, kind of different, but you could certainly do both. And then this one, which has no gift card at all, but uses the tabs in a very unique way. And if I get the chance, I'll post some pictures of some other things I've been playing with for different ways to use the tabs. All right, so thank you so much for joining me tonight, and I will see you 1 week from tonight. And have a great week and a great weekend coming up.